Okay, before I start the video, I didn't really make this clear in my recording of it, so I'm going to say it again right here. This is not going to be a tutorial video. This is not going to be me having a specific lesson plan that I wrote out beforehand that I want to show. This is just going to be a video about how I would go about solving a problem that I've never seen before in GameMaker or in any other programming computer science thing. So there are several mistakes in the code that I write that I have to iron out. If you're interested in this sort of thing, I would actually recommend paying attention closely and trying to identify my errors before I do myself. And by all means, go and leave your thoughts on it in the comments down below this video. But that is all I really wanted to make a little more clear than I did, so let's roll. Alright, hello you crazy people out there, this is DragoniteSpam, and this is something a little bit different that I'm going to be trying now. So recently, a few days ago, somebody asked me a question that sort of gripped my interest for a little while, and that's how to make like a sort of spinner, roulette table, like Wheel of Fortune type thing in GameMaker as I understand it. And, well, at the very simplest level, it's just going to simply be something like a random number generator, but in order to make it a graphical sort of thing with an actual like wheel on the screen, and maybe even give you the ability to like put a brake on it or give it a boost or something like that, like you see in some types of arcades, I thought that would be a fairly interesting problem to figure out here. And also, as it happens, I've been wanting to make something for a little while on sort of the design process of these sort of concepts in GameMaker, whether that would be a game on its own or just a small idea like this. So I figured, well, why not I combine these two? So I'm going to jump into a GameMaker right over here. And I have not done anything with this before aside from do a little bit of like pencil and paper sort of planning. So this is going to be something completely new. I'm going to create a new project. It's going to be something called Spinner because I'm creative like that. Gonna make this full screen. I did do a little bit of preparation. I did make two sprites. One of them being an arrow, and one of them being, I'm gonna copy this and paste it into this thing over here. And call it something like that. And I'm gonna be using that here. I'm going to be, let's see, is this okay? So I'm gonna make that transparent. I'm going to shrink it a little. No, I'm gonna. Okay, so now I'm going to shrink it a little so it doesn't take up like a horrendous amount of space. Yeah, that's a little tall, so let's make it half this height. Alright, there you go. You can still see it. It's just a little smaller. So we're going to make the origin of that the center so that it can spin around an axis. I'm going to save that because I'm a compulsive saver. Next we're going to take this little sprite, which is basically going to be like the pointer position on the spinner. Alright, there we go. We're going to put that there. Once again, taking out this little bit. Control-Alt-P to get at the border. It doesn't look like there was one. I'm going to make this half the height again. And make that the center. And that is all the setup that I have. I'm going to, now let's go, create a room. Make the background white because that's less hideous than gray. That's totally something that's like important. It's just, don't mind me. Let's make the window size a little bit more normal, and okay, it's another step of setup. Now the object, I'm just going to call spinner because I'm creative, and I'm going to, how about for now, I'll just make the spinner sprite, the sprite, well, yeah. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to put this somewhere in the middle of the room, I think. Well, it doesn't really matter where exactly it goes. You can go anywhere pretty much. So we're going to leave that as it is for now. And now, I'm thinking in the create event, we're going to need about a few variables. Well, just one variable in specific, I'm thinking. There's a couple ways you could approach this. You could go after the random number that it's going to land on first, or you could actually make the wheel spin at a random speed and have it slow down over time, and whatever position it's in when it does finish moving is going to be the value that you get. And I'm going to go with that approach instead of the predetermined random number thing. Oh, cool, computer file uploaded a video. And that's just going to be so that I can mess around with the like brake and the boost thing later on. So I'm going to just have one variable, and I'm going to call it rotation speed. I'm going to set it to 0 initially. And in the step event, I'm going to say image angle plus equals rotation speed. And let's see here. I'm going to worry about decelerating later, but I'm going to say, how about when I hit, where is it, the space bar, because the space bar is awesome. Where's the space? Oh, it's over there. I'm gonna hit the space bar. Rotation speed is going to be a random number between, how about, to make it an integer just to be a little bit neater, between, how about, maybe 20 degrees per second and how about 100 degrees per second, or per step of the game rather. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to save the game and we're going to run it. Let's see what happens. Alright, so I'm going to hit the space bar and it's rotating at a random speed. Perfect. Alright, that looks really weird. I'm going to, actually, I don't know. I'm going to close the range, but I'm going to leave it kind of fast, because normally when you'd like start one of those spinner wheels at first, it would be really fast. But now I'm going to be saying, to slow it down, how about rotation speed minus equals 2, let's say. But we also can't let this go below 0, or else it's going to start spinning backwards, which is going to kill the point. If rotation speed equals 0, no, if it's greater than 0, mind you, we're going to do that. Let's see. This should make it slow down over time, gradually. Alright, perfect. And it's still going backwards. Alright, oh, I know what's going on. I'm just going to say this. I'm going to write this a slightly different way, equals, so it's still going to be subtracted by 2. I'm pointing at my screen as if you can see this. It's still going to have 2 subtracted from the rotation speed, but if it's less than 0, it's going to set itself to 0. So we're going to do this again, and we're going to hit the space bar, and this should slow down and stop moving. Alright, wonderful. And that is half the problem, or half the idea anyway. The thinking and code might be a little bit less than half. Anyway, so next we're going to want to know what position it's in when it stops. So I'm going to put in the draw event, let's say draw, firstly, draw self. I can't even spell that properly. Come on! I'm so good at spelling. And also, we're going to say, draw sprite. How about x, y minus, say, sprite. Okay, so that is a variable, sprite height divided by 2. So it's going to be just put on the screen somewhat above where the spinner is, where the center is. I put in these arguments in the wrong order, so we're going to be saying pointer spinner some image of 0. Pointer spinner some image of 0. If you could understand a word I just said. And let's run the game. So there should be oh, I misspelled the variable name as usual. I love misspelling variables names. Pointer sprite, not pointer spinner, yeah. Okay. Pretend I didn't do that. So that's upside down. It's still looking a little big. Alright, so I'm going to rotate this upside down. Let's see, we're going to rotate that 180 degrees. I'm also going to go and shrink it a little bit. Let's make it 50% of the current size again. I'm also going to change the color because it looks a little weird like this. So let's just do a lovely hue shift to make it, so the old hue is going to be like something like that, and the new one's going to be, how about blue? Alright, that looks a little better. There we go. Okay, so let's try this again. That should look a little bit less stupid. Oh, we gotta set the sprite origin. Alright. It's all part of the design process here. Bear with me. And okay, so that looks alright. We're going to give that a spin, and it landed on the 6. So next we're going to have to tell the game what to do there, what number it's on. So for this we're going to have to do a little math. I think I'm going to just, for now, draw on the screen, draw text, how about at 32 and 32. My fingers must be like dead today because I am like making even more spelling errors than I usually do. The text is just going to be pointer position. I don't know why I put an underscore in there. We're going to give that a space, and we're going to give it a string of about some pointer position. So I'm just going to say for now, leave that empty, let it yell at me for errors, and the pointer position is going to be, let's make this a function. Alright, so I'm going to make that a function. We're going to create that function. I'm going to go in here. Let's see. So, okay, so this is going to be doing some math on the spinner. And let's see. I think what I'm actually going to do is whip out myself a piece of paper, a pencil, and a camera. So if you let me set that up a minute. Alright, so we are over here. And I'm going to be using a permanent marker, so hopefully you can see it. Hopefully this is in the camera view. It looks like it is. But anyway, we're going to have a spinner, and I'm a good artist, and it's going to have 6 sections. And let's see, how do I want to go about doing this? They're all going to be degrees around a circle. So, because why not? Let's just say this equals 0 degrees. Even though in a game maker, 0 degrees would normally over here, but since the pointer is at the top, let's just say that 0 degrees is at the top. This will be, what is it, 60. This will be 120. This will be 180, 240, 300. And let's see, jump cuts for the win. How do I have it set up? So I'm going to have 1 over here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 over there. So let's see, doing some math. When the pointer is over here, say this, say it's landed somewhere around 30 degrees, it's going to be 6. Say it's like somewhere between, well, between 60 and 120, it's going to be 5. I'm going to go and write out, I think we're going to write out, I think I'm going to go write out a range for all of these. So 0 to 60. That looks horrible. 0 to 60 degrees is going to be a 6. Alright, so that's that. I'm going to put the marker down so it doesn't dry out. Now going back into, let's see, going back into this spinner here, returning to the code momentarily. I may come back to the paper and pencil, well, paper and marker at some point, but I'm not sure about that for now, so I'll just keep that around just in case. Now let's go into this get pointer position function, and we'll need a few variables. So we're going to say D for direction, and that's going to be the image angle. Let's just say spinner to image angle to be safe. Even though at this current moment this function should only be running inside the spinner object anyway, so it already knows what object it is. Let's see, we're going to want it to be moved over 90 degrees. So let's think about this. I'm going to set that, I could just use image angle on its own, but I'm going to set it to a local variable just so I can mess around with it without actually changing the angle of the spinner itself. So D is going to be the angle, and let's just say if D is, I'm looking at my paper, if D is less than 60, return, how about, what is that number? That's going to be 6. Else, if D is less than 120, we're going to return 5. I'm going to go down this list that I just wrote on the paper a moment ago. Alright, so we have a nice list here. Let's go and run the game yourself, myself, whatever. And we're going to start spinning it. And it is saying perpetually 1. Alright, so why is that going to be? Let's go into the draw event over here. Why is it saying 1? Get pointer position. Let's go and actually draw the image angle on the screen as well. So we're going to write a little slash there, and we're going to string image angle so we can see what's going on. Alright, the image angle should be updating every step, so we're going to be saying, oh, okay. So that's going to be image angle doesn't like loop around to 0 when it hits 359, so we're going to be saying image angle equals going to do that. Take the modulo, so it's going to be limited to a range between 0 and 359.9 forever. All right. It looks like, is it it's slightly wrong. Okay, so it turns out I've kind of been looking at this the wrong way. It's no real big deal. It's part of the design process. So I'm going to draw myself the circle once again, and it looks something like that. And instead of looking at the degrees on the circle, I'm going to rotate the paper to where the spinner is. So if the little arrow is up here, if it's between about 0 and we're going to rotate this 60 degrees, it's going to be a 1. So I'm just going to write that down up there. Now if the little arrow is over here between 60 and, 120 degrees, it's going to be a 2. If it's between 120 and 180, it's going to be 3. I'm just going to continue this. Alright, so it's the same basic idea as before, just the numbers are slightly different. So returning to the computer, I am going to go back into this fancy get pointer position. I'm going to change these values a little bit so that they reflect what I just wrote down on the paper, not what I wrote down the first time that turned out to not work very well. Alright, so there we go. We have the updated values, and let's see how this goes. This should work. Okay, so it's at a 1 because it's at 0. I'm going to hit the space bar. And it's at 6, where it should be. Now running again, it's at 5. Once again, it is at 5 still. 1. And it looks like it's working properly. Alright, cool. So that's a spinner. It took me about 35 minutes real time, which isn't too bad, especially considering that I was like distracting myself talking about it and stuff like that. I'm going to close this. I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to get rid of these lines because they look a little bit weird. I'm going to put this project file up for download in the video description, like I normally do, for anybody who wants to mess around with this. If you really want to, I'll assign you a bit of homework. Well, not really homework. It's not like I'm going to come to your house and yell at you if you don't do it, because that would be a little weird. But I did mention at the beginning of the videos, like a bumper, like a boost, or a brake sort of thing. You know, if you go into an arcade and you have one of those like spinny wheels, and you have the option to like speed it up a little bit to try and get a number that you want. I'm going to give you, the people watching this, the task of adding that yourself. It should be fairly simple. I'm going to guess the bumper is going to be something like this, except just instead of setting the rotation speed to something, you're going to add a certain amount. I don't know, maybe you're going to add like 10 degrees per second or something like that. And the brake is going to be the opposite. You're going to subtract a couple degrees per second. And bonus points if you want to do anything even more fancy than that. If you do happen to record your own video of this, link it in the comments. I'll be interested in seeing this. But for now, that is a little spinner. So you can use this for like a fancy random number generator in some party game or whatever. More importantly, I think that's the design process. That is how you probably want to go about looking at problems that you want to solve in GameMaker or in really any programming language. But for now, I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope you found that insightful, I suppose. Rate, comment, and subscribe. Watch some of the stuff I have uploaded, and I will see you all later.